Okay, hello there. So, we're going to talk about the Riders Alliance. And as many of you know, I got mad at Grace Smink. And I'm going to be reacting to her comments on what she said in Elmhurst in just a second. But before we do that, I want to show you some important things that I need to discuss regarding the Riders Alliance and Passengers United, because if you really want to know who's fighting for you at the end of the day, and a lot of us should have realized this a long time ago, it's always been Charlton DeSouza. No one else. And it's just disgraceful to think that the Riders Alliance can just throw all these people that we don't even know very well. Let me ask you an honest question. Do you know who Betsy Plum is? Take a look at yourself right now and ask yourself this honest question. I certainly didn't know who this woman was before I did research and Charlton told me everything. No. But there's a secret coup going around that the Democratic Socialists of America want her to become an MTA board member. Charlton, on the other hand, is smart and is backing away from the DSOA. He used to have previous affiliations with them. He's starting to see my point of view, and I'm glad he is. They secretly want to ruin our quality of life when it comes to our transit. And they've already gotten to the Democratic capitalist part of the party, which in Congress, if you really want to look at the New York delegation, Grace Ming is a capitalist. You got Jared Nadler, who was a capitalist. In terms of the New York delegation, you know, the socialist delegation, which is Richie Torres and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, thankfully, AOC is backing away from this group. And even though, again, I don't agree with her socialist platform, me and her are in agreement that big money needs to stay out of politics. And big money needs to stay out of our transportation. And secretly, and there's a public document, there's proof that the Permanent Citizens Advisory Committee donates to this group, degrading riding organizations like Passengers United and other volunteer groups who don't get paid to advocate. It's disgraceful. And as you know, I can legally not get a salary due to my disability. For now. I can change in the future. Never say never. But there is proof there's a lot of corruption in this state. It all starts in Albany, and then it works down to the Riders Alliance. And there's probably a coup going around that they want their friend Eric Adams to win on November 2nd. Which, you know how Adams claims to be pro-police in that regard. No. He's being hypnotized by DSOA as well. And this group is being part of DSOA. It's only a matter of time before they get themselves affiliated with them. We don't need that. We don't. They need to look out for the riders. And they don't, because, let's just face it, they have never attended an MTA board meeting. There's video proof that they don't attend board meetings for the MTA. So if you're supposed to be advocating for the public, why don't you talk to the MTA board? That's disgraceful. Everybody has a point of view, even if it's controversial like Jason Anthony. Even if it can be controversial like I've been sometimes. And even if it can be like, Jonathan, for an example. And yes, I can say his name legally now because it's a public forum. Jason being on camera. Jonathan being on camera. Me being on camera. And the Riders Alliance was photographed in the Queen's Courier. So you know what's going on here. You have big corporate money playing in your favor. You know what's going to happen. Charlton doesn't get big corporate money. You think Citigroup and JP Morgan, for an example, you think they're secretly giving money to Charlton? No, they're not. You think I'm taking money from JP Morgan, Citigroup, for an example? No, I'm taking money in from the federal government. And I will admit that. It's crazy what's going on in the state. And it's crazy what's going on in our fair city. So, I'm going to play you a couple videos that I think you need to see. So, let's watch this one first. And I'm going to pause it at a certain part of the video because, there is some privacy concerns that I need to censor out. So, let's just fast forward to this part of the video. So, this was a car that members of the Riders Alliance used to get to their so-called press event in Elmhurst last Tuesday. How disgraceful is that? Jonathan D'Souza actually uses the subway to get to the Riders Alliance event. I didn't want to go because I did not want to look at Grace Mink's face after she became a very cold-hearted person. So let's fast forward now to this lady. Okay, first of all, why the hell was she wearing a mask outdoors? Is she even vaccinated? I want to show you this lady. I'm going to show you this lady. Alright, because this lady, a couple weeks ago, I was in Jackson Heights with Charlton. And this lady was saying, "Oh, you need to wear a mask outdoors for Jackson Heights, Roosevelt Avenue." And if I use the Stay Woke voice, YouTube will consider that racist. So obviously I'm not going to properly imitate her because then I can get demonetized. Then there's going to be a bunch of Democrats who are going to call me out. And that's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. So I'm just using that practical voice for a reason. Does this lady check the CDC guidelines for vaccinated people? You want proof? You want proof? It's safe for me to be maskless in a crowded outdoor event. As long as I'm fully vaccinated, which I clearly am. In which I, yes, protested at City Hall over the passport. And I was proud to do that. But let's keep in mind. Let me just show you her face again because she's technically a public figure. I don't even know who her name is. But this lady should go on the CDC's website and look at the guidance for people who are vaccinated. Okay? I mean, I will admit, I wear a mask in the nursing home because it's federal law. Alright? Federal law says you have to wear a mask in a nursing home. So I'm wearing it while I'm on duty, while I'm on the job. You think I want to violate federal law while I'm on duty? There's an exemption when I'm drinking water while on duty. My nurses do it. They've given us an exemption on that, but once we're done drinking, we put the mask back on. We don't eat on duty. We're not allowed to. So, thank goodness you can't see her face that well. Probably because the lighting isn't that good. Oh, and by the way, I'll be called a racist because the camera lighting isn't that good on her face either. Remember that time where I've been called a racist because a person didn't want to be on camera and yet I said the lighting wasn't good? Oh, I guess people don't know how cameras work too. Yeah. So you can't compromise with the Stay Woke movement. You know, these people will just call you out for the pettiest little things. So yeah, I'm already going to be demonetized as it is. And so what? So what? So where is the other video? I'm trying to find it. No, that's not it. So let's watch this part where Betsy is being hypnotized by corporate donors.
I have to ask you to please leave our event. Please.
You want me to leave your event?
Yes.
Why?
Because you're being disruptive. You continue to write. Charlton, will you please put that away?
I'm not being disruptive. I have a right to be here. It's a city sidewalk.
Please go around to the other side. You're not standing with us. I've given you so many opportunities to calmly and maturely talk, and you have not done those. And you've continued to threaten our organization, threaten me personally. And I don't feel safe with that. Our members, we cannot have you here. If you want to work together, we can talk, but you're not doing that right now. So could you please go along to the other side?
Okay, let's put Betsy's face back on the camera. See, this is good lighting. I will say that. This is good camera lighting, Charlton. You got lucky with her face. But that's not the point. Okay? First of all, yes, Charlton was disruptive a while back. And I don't agree with his behavior on that. It's a little bit unconventional. And I will say that, you know, Charlton does have some very unconventional methods that I would never, ever do because, again, I try to think professionally. When the time comes to be for an appropriate matter. First of all, I would have asked Betsy, are you vaccinated? Literally, I would have said, no. You even check the CDC guidance. I literally would have showed her the CDC guidance on my phone. In that situation. Right? You don't have to wear a mask outdoors if you're vaccinated. Crowded event! My goodness, it's like, I never took the CDC seriously before COVID, but now I do. And I would have told Betsy, do you watch Notre Dame football? I would have told her, watch Notre Dame football and see how crowded it gets in South Bend, in Indiana. When hundreds of thousands of people are packed in a football stadium not wearing a mask. I would have told her that. Sorry if I insulted her intelligence, but, you know, even Murray Bowden made that point. He was even bringing up Notre Dame football last week at the board meeting. He was literally telling the board members last week, did you watch Notre Dame football? Did you see anybody wearing a mask? No, I didn't. Not on Peacock, because the game was only on Peacock, and probably Murray had Peacock too. But I watched last weekend while I was at my cousin's wedding. We had a TV available in the bar, in the hotel, and everybody was amazed to see that everybody wasn't wearing a mask when they showed the crowd. So maybe Betsy should watch Notre Dame football. Maybe Betsy should. Maybe she should see a home game when hundreds of thousands of Notre Dame football fans are packed together in South Bend, Indiana, And they're not wearing a mask. Why are you wearing a mask in a crowded event if you're vaccinated, Betsy? And Johnson should be doing the same thing too. Alright? I didn't wear a mask when I was protesting de Blasio in August. That was an outdoor event. So I'm sorry I'm ranting about masks, but, you know, there's so many epic fails that the Riders Alliance has done that, you know, it's going to come to a point where the truth comes out. A lot of big things happen. Nobody can censor us. Nobody can. And I will just say this. Alright? I don't have any intention to go to a Riders Alliance event. Because I know what's going to happen. I show up and they're going to claim I'm going to cause disorderly conduct. Remember how I told that story when I ranted about the cookie in the bowling alley 6 years ago? It would be worse than that. It's bad enough I almost spent New Year's Eve 6 years ago in jail almost. With the bail reform, I would probably get out the next day, knowing my luck. And look how bad it would be if I had a jail record. So, it comes down to this woman who is pregnant. I found out from an unanonymous source that I'm not going to disclose. You probably won't see her in the next couple of months because she's going to be on maternity leave. And, you know, let her be on maternity leave. You know, there is one part of feminism that I support. You know, female empowerment. So, next up, to wrap up this video, we're going to hear from the centrist part of the Democrat Party, and we're going to hear from my Congresswoman, Grace Ming.
I'm just going to agree with everyone, but especially Congresswoman Meng. So we'll begin by...
Oh, and by the way, remember, AOC didn't show up. So, bringing that up.
I'm going to be making a statement after we're done.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I want to thank everyone at the...
Oh my, look at this. Guess who that was? Rewind.
After we're done.
Thank you so much.
That is Andrew Schiff from WNBC TV, the NBC affiliate in New York City. I know him very well. And by the way, I'm going to be defending Tim Minton next month. Just for the record. So I'm giving you a teaser of what's going to happen at the MTA meetings in October.
I want to thank everyone at the Riders Alliance and all of our members and volunteers and my colleagues in government for taking the time to advocate for this important issue. This is an important issue nationally and throughout the city of New York, but especially for the families who live and...
By the way, I'll post a specific video in the description below on what Grace Ming was talking about, because I went further in depth regarding the Queen's Courier article that came out last week.
Work in Queens. Welcome to our district. We're here in Elmhurst. I was born in Elmhurst, spent the first few years of my life living in a basement in Elmhurst, and we have some of the best food available throughout this country, actually. So I'm so thrilled to have all of you with us today.
Hey, Grace, why don't you go to the Georgia Diner? See how overpriced it is.
You know, throughout the last few weeks, we have seen as families have suffered through the aftermath of Hurricane Ida and the floods that came with it. This is also a community that suffered and was severely impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. Right around here in our backdrop is Elmhurst Hospital, which is one of the most impacted hospitals in the entire country and was hit early on. And our frontline workers, our Queens residents, our essential workers were not able to take a break because they were working hard to save our lives and to keep all of us healthy and safe and alive. And so we owe it to them to make sure that we are addressing the vulnerabilities of our mass transit system, which help them, as imperfect as the system is, that help them get to work and help save lives. We saw with Hurricane Ida, with just a few inches of rain, and this was not the first time we saw it, unfortunately. We saw how it impacted and flooded and trapped so many New Yorkers because of the rain and because of the flooding. And this is there's no better time than now to make sure that we are putting in the investments. We're talking about infrastructure bills, we're talking about building back better, but it's not just about money, it's about building back smarter too. Through the CARES Act, through the American Rescue Plan, Congress and the federal government have already provided billions of dollars of funding.
And she is correct about that, because we've had 3 stimulus packages from Congress, 2 that were passed last year, and 1 that was passed back in March of this year. So keep in mind, when I was actually negotiating with my fellow Republicans, begging them, pleading them to get the stimulus done. And what did that stubborn guy from Kentucky do? And yes, there are some bad apples in the Republican Party, like Mitch McConnell, who shouldn't even be a senator, for having a cold heart and not realizing that our cities are supposed to, influence us. So, she is right about the stimulus, in which she did negotiate.
I also want to take a moment to acknowledge my state colleagues who worked in the last few years, and it's been going on since I was there, to work on legislation like the lock stock window, which goes towards effectively and efficiently using the money that New Yorkers pay with our tax dollars. And so we need to make sure that we are using this money correctly. One of the reasons that I am advocating for the stronger communities through Better Transit Act, and I really want to thank the Riders Alliance and all its partners, because not only have you been talking about the importance of this bill, they've been working across the country to get more members to co-sponsor it.
Okay. That's fake news. It's fake news because, number one, first of all, they did a last-minute announcement on Monday afternoon last week when I was at work coming back from vacation, my Labor Day Rosh Hashanah break, when they were giving a last-minute announcement, stand with Grace Ming in Elmhurst. Okay, maybe some of it's true. Maybe they did contact the feds last year like I did, when we were all locked in our houses and we needed Washington to help us. But I was the one making phone calls to both Democrats and Republicans last year. We needed help. Government is supposed to serve the people in our time of need. We were in our time of need when we weren't having any money coming in during the worst of the pandemic last year. So, going across the country. Yeah. You were going across the country. Why didn't you help with BART in San Francisco? Why didn't you help with the CTA in Chicago? For an example. Why didn't you help with DC Metro?
And that's what provides momentum for us in Congress to be able to pass this bill. More money is not enough. We need more money, but we need a smarter formula in how we're using the money. The money can't just go towards capital and physical costs. It has to go through operational costs, so that we are required through this legislation, we will be required to provide more frequent service, more buses, more subways, so that
Okay, so I'm gonna end it here because I'm done listening to this woman. I'm done. Because last week I reached out to two of the members because I don't really affiliate with Andrew Garbarino, but I reached out to Lee Zeldin and I reached out to Nicole Maliotakis. Okay? Two fellow Republicans. And I urge them to support this. Because if you truly care about New York, you know, you guys in Washington would be helping us. $3 billion is not too much to ask that our taxpayer dollars go into. Really? So, if this woman right here wanted to do the right thing, she could have held her own event without the Riders Alliance. Without them. Why were they needed? Just because there's a big political coup going on? A big corporate pack going on from Citigroup and JP Morgan Chase? We have to stand up to these organizations. And things have got to start changing in this state. It's all part of the plan. Secretly, the Riders Alliance wants me in Delaware. They're close to their victory. They're very close. It's looking like it. Thankfully, in Delaware, even though we have the banks moving in, I will say this. They don't have a big influence in Delaware. I'll tell you that right now. So, that's going to conclude this video. And, you know, I will say this to Betsy, and I will say this to the lady who confronted me regarding the mask in Jackson Heights. I will just say this right now. You guys are selfish. You guys are not looking out for the community. And if you actually gave a damn about us, you would go to the MTA board meetings. Because enough is enough. This needs to stop. And sooner or later, you guys are going to get defunded. It's only a matter of time. We shouldn't be defunding the police. We should be defunding the Riders Alliance. Thank you for watching.